This is VOA News. Via remote, I'm Marissa Melton. U.S. President Joe Biden spoke with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky Thursday about the troubling situation at Zaporizhia nuclear power plant, held by Russian forces, which temporarily lost connection to the electrical grid due to a nearby fire. VOA's Steve Herman has more.
In the call from the U.S. president to congratulate the Ukrainian leader a day after Ukraine marked its Independence Day, which Biden termed a bittersweet anniversary, the two leaders discussed the largest nuclear power plant in Europe, which temporarily lost connection to the electrical grid due to a nearby fire. White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre.
Russia should agree to demilitarize the zone around the plant and agree to allow an international atomic energy agency visit as soon as possible to check on the safety and security of the systems.
Russia took control of the Zaporizhia nuclear power plant early in the 6-month-old war. Concerns about fighting around the facility have recently escalated, with the IAEA warning of a very real risk of a nuclear disaster. Steve Herman, VOA News, Washington.
The World Health Organization said Thursday the number of new monkeypox cases fell 20% globally last week, but new cases increased in the Americas. WHO said there is still intense transmission of the disease. The Director General, Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus, said there are signs the monkeypox outbreak is slowing in Europe, but he said the opposite is true in the Americas, particularly in Latin America. Insufficient awareness or public health measures are combining with lack of access to vaccines. VOA News. A new study predicts more of what is considered by experts to be dangerous heat in the future. AP's Ed Donahue has the story.
Occasionally, in mid-latitude countries, spiking temperatures and humidity in the summer can make it feel like a sweltering 103 degrees. Researchers say by the middle of the century, it could happen 20 to 50 times a year. In the sticky tropics, it could feel much worse. Study author Lucas Zeppatello, a Harvard climate scientist, says heat waves are one of the new 4 horsemen of apocalyptic climate change. Chicago hit the 103-degree heat index level only 4 times from 1979 to 1998. The study's most likely scenario shows Chicago hitting that threshold 11 times a year by the end of the century. I'm Ed Donahue.
In London, the moving vans have already started arriving at Downing Street as Britain's Conservative Party prepares to evict Prime Minister Boris Johnson. AP correspondent Zaria Shackley has a report.
The debate over what mark he left on his party, his country and the world will linger long after he departs in September, if indeed he really is gone for good. Johnson led Britain out of the European Union and won a landslide election victory before his government collapsed in a heap of ethics scandals. During his final appearance in Parliament as Prime Minister in July, he summed up his 3 years in office as mission largely accomplished. Johnson cultivated a buffoonish public image, but he has had a serious impact on his country. He bears much of the credit or blame for Britain's departure from the EU. Zaria Shackley, London.
A federal judge in the United States directed the U.S. Justice Department late on Thursday to unseal its redacted version of an affidavit it used to obtain a recent search warrant for former President Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago resort. U.S. Magistrate Judge Bruce Reinhart issued the order. It came hours after the Justice Department proposed redactions to the document. Prosecutors had said redactions would be needed to guard sensitive details of their investigation into Trump's handling of classified documents. Several U.S. news organizations want access to the affidavit amid intense public interest in the FBI search of Trump's home on August 8th. A property receipt given to Trump's lawyer indicates that during the search, FBI agents removed 11 sets of classified documents labeled confidential, secret, or top secret. The search warrant was unsealed 4 days later, showing that Trump was under investigation for potential violations of the Espionage Act and other offenses. You can find more on this and all the stories we're covering at our website, voanews.com. Via remote, I'm Marissa Melton. This is VOA News. This is VOA News. Via remote, I'm Marissa Milton. An FBI affidavit shows the Justice Department believed it had probable cause to search Donald Trump's Florida estate this month. AP Washington correspondent Sagar Meghani has details.
The heavily redacted document notes 14 boxes recovered from the home earlier this year had classified documents, including 25 labeled top secret. The court papers say no space at the estate was authorized for storing classified material, and there was probable cause to believe agents would find evidence of obstruction during this month's search. It's the most detailed description yet of the government's concerns and months-long efforts to get back the documents, which were haphazardly stored with magazines and other items. Despite clear evidence to the contrary, Trump insists he fully cooperated with the government and is painting the search as a politically motivated bid to hurt his re-election prospects. Sagar Meghani, Washington.
Russian forces based in Syria on Friday said 4 Israeli jets had launched a total of 4 cruise missiles and 16 guided aerial bombs against a research facility in the city of Masyaf. Russian news outlets TASS and RIA cited a senior Russian officer as saying Syrian troops using Russian-made anti-aircraft weapons shot down 2 missiles and 7 guided bombs, damaging equipment at the facility. Russian forces have remained in Syria since 2015 when they helped turn the tide in a civil war in favor of President Bashar al-Assad. For several years, Israel has been mounting attacks on what it has described as Iranian-linked targets in Syria. From Washington, this is VOA News. U.S. Representative Marsha Blackburn of Tennessee is visiting Taiwan. AP correspondent Rita Foley has more.
What the world has witnessed.
Republican Senator Marsha Blackburn of Tennessee is the latest member of Congress to visit Taiwan, where she met this morning with President Tsai Ing-wen. Tsai and Senator Blackburn underscored the importance of economic links between the U.S. and Taiwan, especially in the semiconductor sector, where Taiwan is a world leader. Now, China claims Taiwan as its territory. Taiwan and China split in 1949 after a civil war. They have no official relations, but they are bound by billions of dollars of trade and investment. This morning, Taiwan's president accused China and Russia of disrupting and threatening the world order, pointing to Beijing's military exercises near Taiwan and Moscow's invasion of Ukraine. I'm Rita Foley.
A U.S. judge on Friday recommended that victims of the September 11, 2001 attacks not be allowed to seize billions of dollars of assets belonging to Afghanistan's central bank to satisfy court judgments they obtained against the Taliban. U.S. Magistrate Judge Sarah Netburn in Manhattan said the bank is immune from jurisdiction and that allowing the seizures would effectively acknowledge the Islamist militant group as the Afghan government. That's something only the U.S. president can do. Netburn's opinion will be reviewed by U.S. District Judge George Daniels in Manhattan, who also oversees the litigation and can decide whether to accept her recommendation. The United States ousted the Taliban and al-Qaeda from Afghanistan in late 2001, but the Taliban returned to power a year ago this month. There's a guilty plea in the California oil spill case. AP correspondent Lisa Dwyer has that story.
A pipeline operator and 2 subsidiaries have agreed to plead guilty to negligently discharging oil off the Southern California coast in connection with a pipeline break that covered beaches with blobs of crude. Houston-based Amplify Energy and 2 subsidiaries agreed to plead guilty to a misdemeanor and pay a $7 million fine and nearly $6 million in costs. The plea agreements still need to be approved by a U.S. district judge. The October 2021 leak in a pipeline that ferried crude oil from offshore platforms to the Southern California coast spilled about 25,000 gallons of crude into the ocean. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
The head of the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention said Friday that very few people in the United States have received a full series of monkeypox vaccinations. CDC Director Rochelle Walensky said the large majority of Americans who got a first dose of the vaccine had yet to get their second dose despite being eligible for one. Via remote, I'm Marissa Milton. This is